So just as a heads up, because both you and Roy have mentioned the death mechanic and whatever, later in that stream that accompanied that video, they actually had Gareth Hughes in. And interestingly, or funny enough, Gareth basically said exactly what we said last week. If you notice, last week we said, hey, man, this whole one of our community or discussion topics last week was like, dude, don't worry about the death mechanic. It's not that big a deal. It'll probably be that you either revive at your ship or you revive at the last station you were at. And they asked Gareth, they were like, hey, can you tell us how the death mechanic's going to work? And he's like, yeah, sure. The way it works is you're going to either revive at your ship or revive at the last station you were in. Apparently, if you came in a ship, you're actually going to have the option. So if you came in a ship, they're going to say, hey, what do you want? Do you want to revive in your ship or at the last station? If you came via the intergalactic taxi service, it's going to just throw you to the last station. But it's that was a very cool additional thing that was said in the stream that accompanied that video. Rear Admiral Flaps, you were up.
Well, I'm pretty much going to agree with what both of you guys have already said, although I'm going to highlight just some things I had sort of found out or sort of came across anyway. The game, it does look absolutely fantastic. I have to agree. The terrains, the environments, absolutely everything spot on. I have no gripes with it whatsoever. From the trailer that we've seen, I got a lot of Mass Effect vibes from it. I don't know if anyone else sort of got Mass Effect vibes from it, but I sort of got a bit of a Mass Effect vibe from it. Me being a Mass Effect fan, I was like, yeah, okay. But at the same time, as we've already mentioned, the AI, okay, fair enough. It's been a pre-alpha build and, there's going to be a lot of changes made and blah, blah, blah. But the point I want to make is if they're going to give us an alpha build on the 29th, surely it would be in their best interest to show us that full alpha build. Not something that was done months and months and months ago. So why did we get that thing that was months and months and months ago that's been heavily edited, as you have pointed out? Why not just show us what we're getting in 2 weeks' time or 3 weeks' time? That for me is just a bit of a red flag. Just, okay, why that? I found that some of the animations were a little bit jerky, but again, it's an early build. I can sort of get over that. One thing that I did see that none of us have mentioned so far is, have we noticed the glass effects on the helmet? As you're walking around, watching the sun reflect off the helmet. That was a nice little subtle touch that I quite like.
Yeah, you would get that weird sort of halos around the outside, the far extremes on the right and left side. Yeah, I did see that. Yeah,
that to me, I was like, that's it. It's very subtle. You wouldn't notice it as much. But, as the game progresses, the more you play it, that's going to be like, that's a nice little touch. We've mentioned this. I think we've mentioned this, or somebody's mentioned this in the chats possibly. Non-lethal takedowns. Non-lethal takedowns, is that going to affect your crime? Or are you going to get a fine for a non-lethal takedown? Is that actually going to affect you, or will you be able to progress through the mission and stuff? I think that's been answered already. One thing I mentioned as well is what's stopping a commander from sitting in an Anaconda above a base and just carpet bombing the whole thing? I know they said they had great base defenses.
We haven't seen them yet.
But we haven't seen them yet, exactly. But what if, say, for example, I dropped you off a couple of kilometers outside the base, you walk into that base, you disable the defenses by taking down a power grid or whatever it may be, and I carpet bomb the whole thing. Where's the challenge? On foot ganking, is that going to be a thing? You're going to have people just chilling out in bases, just ganking you as you go to walk in a base? Is that?
Or I think more so have people chilling out near the scavenging places. So you go to scavenger wreck and they're like, haha, you're in your scavenging suit. Pew, pew, motherfucker.
They'll gank wherever the new engineers are, I would imagine, if they're on a settlement.
Oh, that too.
Locus to draw people, because there'll be a flow of people all the time.
Yeah, true. Absolutely. It is a concern because for me, I'm not good at ship combat. I'm a wee bit better at FPS. I'm a wee bit more confident in my skills there, but in ship combat, I'm never good at, so I'm not a fan of gankers personally. But it is a bit of a concern. Ship launch fighters giving covering fire as you're attacking a base. That would be nice. I would like to see some of that. I think if you were to get a couple of SLFs, bomber style FLFs, could be quite a cool mechanic. And storylines. I would like to see some storylines around those bases. Like there needs to be something along the lines of story to really attract you into going to do that mission, for example.
Hell yeah.
What you guys think?
Or have somebody drive an Amtrak right up to that fucking door. In the Marines, we called them Amtraks, the armored personnel carriers. Have someone pull right up, and then you hop in and then drive off instead of running through two separate kill funnels.
That would be pretty awesome, to be fair. If you had some sort of armored car and you just bounced into it and 4 years bounced out and just absolutely wreaked havoc.
Yeah.
What I know they mentioned this in the stream, but I'm really quite confused in how this is going to affect it. They're talking a lot about the BGS is going to be very, very important to what missions is actually given to us at any given time.
Mm-hmm.
So, they're saying that some of the factions, if you're not allied with a faction, you're not going to get a certain mission. Is that going to then hinder you for then achieving later on objectives? You're trying to collect, say, for example, a Sapia core, and you have to go to a certain base to go get that, but you're not very good at FPS games. So then how do you get that? By influencing the BGS, those sorts of things.
Yeah, well, there'll be mission givers at all the different bases, and you could also find where those mission givers exist in other stations in that system, and you could do the space side of it if that's what you're better at. You could do that.
Yeah, there's still some questions that I have, but overall, I think I agree we're definitely on the right track. My biggest gripe with the whole thing is, why not show us something? If you're going to release it to us in 3 weeks' time, why not show us something a wee bit better than what they did? That's my biggest gripe with the whole stream. But at the same time, I'm very, very, very excited. Very excited.